Hey, how we doing out there tonight all across this great land ours and around the world? It's that time. It's time for the Conservative Syndicate coming to you live right now out here from the old West Coast, East Coast, around the world. Nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, the Conservative Syndicate. We're glad to have you with us this afternoon. I don't know what the weather's like in your neck of the woods right now, but boy, summer is hitting out here in California really early, which means all the politicians out here will be in full bloom talking about the extreme drought that we have out here in California, which, by the way, we know ended, maybe a couple months ago. But, you know, the money making and the bond issuing and all the things that are needed out here to keep primarily our public servants, their pensions funded and tenure. I'll get it. Tenure. My Bushism just kicked in there for a minute, man. I went into kind of a Max Headroom kind of thing. Anyway, glad to have you with us today. I'm your host. Yeah. I'm a little discombobulated today, folks. I've been out on the road all day. Got home about 20 minutes ago, and I'm trying to review my notes at the same time talk to you. And I've even forgotten here. Let me bring on a co-host, Joe Hookis. How are you doing tonight, Joel?
I'm okay, dear John. I think we're both in the same game today, though.
Yeah, I know.
I've been running around with doctors all day, so hey.
Yeah. So was I. We had a really interesting meeting this morning with a unit of people out here. They treat what they call neuropathy, something like that. Anyway, what it is the degeneration of nerves. Yeah. And Lourdes has it because of the diabetes and everything else. So we went to a dinner yesterday and was treated to dinner, and they ran by us some particulars as to what they offer in terms of treatment. We went down there today, and what was supposed to be a half an hour interview turned out to like 4 hours. And we're going to put her into this treatment. It's really interesting. But one of the reason I bring it up is that during the course of the conversation with a couple of the people that work at this place, we got to talking about the medicating of America versus treating actual diseases. Mm-hmm. And it was a very interesting conversation, so much so that I'm going to have one of the representatives come on the show here probably sometime in the next couple of weeks and discuss aspects of this, what I call the medicating of America, and how Obamacare is being driven primarily by pharmaceuticals. And it's just a real interesting conversation that I had with these two gentlemen today. And I thought, this is the kind of information that we want to get out into the public sphere. How treating things rather than just masking the symptoms.
Yeah,
that kind of
going
thing.
After the root cause of it, let's just let's treat the symptoms.
Right.
And just cover it up. Oh, you're just managing it. You're getting by.
Right. What you're doing is you're numbing the pain while the inevitable destruction of your body continues to progress. Very much like liberalism. We'll give you what you want so we numb the pain of living and being responsible. In the meantime, we just slowly degenerate into a lawless, immoral, decadent society. But we all feel good on the way, that kind of thing. So
those of us everybody that's not paying attention will feel good about it. Yeah. Those of us that are watching it happen I don't know if I'm exactly feeling good about it.
Yeah. So, along with that, when we talk about things like symptoms, masking symptoms, and there's no better example or analogy to give than liberalism, as I just said. Liberalism is the medicating and dumbing down of the American citizen to such a degree that they just they look for their fix every day. They want the government to tell them everything's okay, and they want the government to try to continue to prescribe some type of medication in the form of legislation that allows or that legalizes immorality and the things that will destroy not only our bodies but our soul. And what has happened here in the process of all this, I got to thinking about this, and some of the things that I've seen posted out on social media just the last few days. And I think it's worth kind of having a dialogue today. We may jump around a little bit in this dialogue, but the idea here is what we talk about on the show a lot is the narrative, controlling the narrative, and the narrative has been controlled by the liberals for at least the last 5 or 6 decades, depending on where you want to put your finger at and say, oh, it started here. It's not that it hasn't always been here. It's that it's just being advanced much quicker than it used to be. And I just thought, we'll have kind of a dialogue here on how, on deconstructionism and how the narrative takes the staples that define American exceptionalism and has deconstructed it and redefined it to mean something else. One of the things I want to talk about at the beginning of the show today when we get back from our break, some comments that were made by John Kasich about the Republican Party. And not only that, but the comments within the context of the article that the Washington Post wrote about John Kasich's comments. Because it's like the rebranding of conservatism. That's what the part of the narrative has, and some part of the deconstruction that's been going on is this rebranding of conservatism as some type of extremist faction that has evolved over the last 20 years or so, maybe since Bill Clinton was in office, when the vast right-wing conspiracy reared its ugly head, and especially since the inauguration of Barack Obama in 2008, and henceforth from that point, conservatism has been, it's almost being presented as some type of new faction, rather than the fact that people like John Kasich, who claim the conservative mantle, are actually people that have shifted left, while the progressives or why the liberals or Democrats have gone really far left. And so those of us have just been standing our ground and not moving and standing for what we know that we believe in, what the Constitution establishes this republic on. We're the ones that have been being accused of shifting. And along with that, with Kasich thing, nice Facebook thread out there that's been floating back and forth because generated by my daughter, surprisingly enough, back in Arkansas. She has come to the realization something's going on when Target now has designated their dressing areas and bathrooms as transgender.
Yeah.
And she's really upset about that. And I'm like, okay, now, it's what I've said. How many times have I said this on the show, Joe? People don't get involved until it hits them at home.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, now you're woken up. Well, congratulations. Welcome to the party.
Yeah. I mean, I've been carrying on this conversation and with them back and forth at different times, and it's kind of like everybody nods their head and go, yeah, Dad, I understand.
John, there he goes again. Blah, 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 blah. There goes John again.
Yeah, and now it's like, Dad, what's going on here? Well, I've been telling you this for the last 8-9 years. Jeez. This is what's happening, and it takes a while for people to understand. When I say I'm a mad prophet, this is what I'm talking about. We know in this show what we've been talking about for a long time, and until it hits you and hits your family, hits your wallet, or starts to affect your kids, you just seem to think it's something else that's just out there. But, it can't come here. It can't come into Valonia, Arkansas, population 4,000.
Yeah, it can't. Yeah. Hey, live and in color, it's coming.
Yeah. So, anyhow, we'll move on here with the show here. We're coming up on a break, and when we get back, I'm going to dance around a little bit with today, maybe in terms of one topic to another. But it'll all be centered on the same thing, about how the narrative has been established by the left by redefining what it means to be on the right.
Well, I think also it comes down to a point where, can you really trust this government?
Yeah. And it's like, it's those of us who are asking that question are the ones that are being branded the new faction, the new extremist faction. We're the problem. We're the problem. Now, I haven't changed my thought process in 35 years. I think exactly the same way I think today that I did 35 years ago. But for some reason, everybody seems to think, well, you're just really out there. You're in the right-wing extreme. No, well, maybe I am now, since you guys have all moved the other way. But this isn't something new. our ideology, that what we espouse on this show, it was established by the people who framed and established this country. And we're just sticking to it. It's like the Bible. We're not trying to change it. We're not trying to reinterpret it. We're not trying to reapply it. We're strict originalists here. And we just say if the Constitution says this, that's what it says. It doesn't say subject to change without notice. This is the way it is, and this is what the intent was behind it. Don't tell me that our framers thought at some point back in the 1700s that they were going to have to deal with transgender bathrooms. I don't believe that for a second.
They weren't going to deal with it well, I can tell you that. They might have to deal with it, but it was only going to be for a very short time.
Yeah, and if they did deal with it, it would have been in a public square, and it would have been a very humiliating
It would have just taken about 15 or 20 seconds, and they would have taken care of it.
That's right. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go to our first break. We'll be back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first, and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
And we are back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, my co-host. And, you know, I was very, very saddened today. I know this may sound a little bit weird if you are a liberal listening to a staunch conservative like myself. They found a Prince, apparently, today dead in an elevator somewhere. And I just, you know, that grieves me. I happen to like Prince. I think he was, for his style and all that he was. I remember listening to his very first album when he was only like 11 or 12 years old, and I realized right away this guy just I think just is eons above Michael Jackson in terms of originality,
just talent.
Just talent. I mean, production-wise, being able to put together some of the sounds that he was able to put together during the course of his life. Some of his music today, in fact, when I first started this show, I used to use his theme from 1999 to open the show. I just love that, you know, that driving beat in the background, and we used to use that back when I was on stations that were licensed to do that kind of thing. But we don't use royalty music anymore. In fact, if you go on YouTube today and try to find Prince videos, you won't find them. I can tell you, I've looked. He never allowed his music out into that realm. He was he was very eccentric, but a very talented individual all the way around. And to me, that's kind of a sad day. Merle Haggard a couple weeks ago, and Prince today. Boy, you know, the only thing that's being left out there are these idiots like Kanye West and Jay-Z, for crying out loud. You know, that kind of stuff. But, so I don't know. They don't know what the cause of death was, but I'm sure we'll find that out when it's sensationally expedient for the media to expose whatever it is, you know, that whatever way he came to his demise here. But just a sad day for me, because I love the guy's music. Very little music that he's written that I don't like. And one of my favorite CDs is The Very Best of Prince. I wore that thing out. I can't even. I wore a CD out, if you can believe that. So anyway, it is what it is. I mean, life goes on. But it's sad when people that age. He was only 57 years old. You know, and you know how much older that makes me feel at this moment. So anyway, sad day. You listen to Prince at all, Joe?
I respected the hell out of his music. I mean, the guy could play so many different instruments. The guy was the difference between him and they called him a pop star. I saw the thing, the pop star, one of the headlines, a pop star Prince found dead. He wasn't a pop star. He's a musician. There's a difference. Yeah. This guy was a definite musician, and I have nothing but respect for those guys.
Yeah, I thought he crossed all genres of music, you know. I put him in, you know, he could have been R&B, he could have been rock, he could have been pop.
He done anything he wanted to do. I mean, it wasn't the only thing he did. He did exactly what he wanted to do, and you know what a way to do it.
Yeah,
he did what you wanted to do because that's what you enjoy doing. But he could have been in Carnegie Hall doing symphonies.
Yeah.
The guy was talented. I mean, just unbelievable. But but that's all we're going to hear for a few days is this until they.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how the eulogies go in the media compared to the passing of Merle Haggard. And Merle Haggard, another legend. who got the 24-hour links out there for about 24, maybe 48 hours, and then just kind of drifted off into oblivion. Let's see what happens here with the Prince. In fact, I'm going to watch CBS Morning News tomorrow. I bet you the entire newscast is about Prince. Because that's what they do. They don't talk about news. They talk about sensationalism, whatever's sensationalistic at the moment, that kind of thing. So
I'd rather give the guy a little more respect than that,
Yeah, well, the media, it's all about ratings anyways, and I don't know. My wife watches that CBS in the morning, and she drives me nuts sometimes with her choice of programming. It just drives me nuts. That and listening to Joel Osteen. That drives me up a wall. I
had him on for about 35 seconds the other day, and I was like, I was trying to find the remote.
Yeah, they ought to just nickname him Mr. Amway.
And it was like, hey, feel good about something, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, geez, let me hurry up. Let me find the remote quick.
Yeah.
Because it was like, you must feel the usual spiel with that guy. I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
And let's not go down that rabbit hole, okay?
Yeah. Well, there's several of them out there. I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time talking about who they are, but there's several of them out there that when I see them or I hear something about them, I literally, my body goes into this shaking motion, and I'm kind of like, okay. It almost makes me want to become a sinner again, because if this is what being a Christian is about, I'm not interested. I'm not interested,
I hear you.
So anyway, let's go into, let me talk about this article here with Kasich, and we'll just kind of let's do it this way. Joe, you have a sound bite. You've got a 3-minute clip that we could play.
Yeah, and it's something we talked about. I think we talked about it last week a little bit, and I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and it was about a Jeep Pi and the Obama. Does everybody know there's an Obama phone fraud? A carrier frauded the United States taxpayer out of money with the Obama phones? Nobody seems to know about it. But this particular clip, and remember we said something about trusting the government? This is FCC Commissioner Ajit Pai. He's on Fox Business, and he's talking, and they were told to be quiet about the Obama phone fraud that they knew about, but they weren't supposed to tell anybody about it. Actually, it's easier if I just let him explain it, because I might say it wrong. So I will we'll play this, and then we ought to be able to talk about our wonderful administration here.
Told to keep quiet about Obama phone fraud. Come in, FCC Commissioner Ajit Pai. Would you explain what happened? How were you look, Obama phone, the whole idea of 6 million free phones out there available to poor people, etc., etc. There was fraud in that system. You were told to keep quiet about it, and you're an FCC commissioner?
That's correct. On March 31st, the FCC, on a party line vote, voted to dramatically expand this program to cover internet access in addition to phone service. However, about a month before that, we were told about a very serious investigation involving a wireless carrier that had defrauded the American taxpayer of millions upon millions of dollars. We were also told that investigation, we learned about this fraud back in October of 2014, that investigation had wrapped up pretty much in the middle of 2015, but that we were not going to be able to say anything about it until April 1st at the very earliest. Conveniently, one day after we voted on that party line vote to expand the program.
It's just another
that was
story of burying bad news, hiding it from the public when there's an obvious problem going on. The next thing is, doesn't the administration want to offer highly subsidized internet connections for poorer people? What do you say about that?
That's basically where this program is going, without any sense of fiscal responsibility. And look, I think everybody agrees that we want broadband and other advanced communication services to be more affordable. But when the American taxpayers' hard-earned money is on the line, we need to be responsible about how we do that. And that's not the program we have today.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we are all paying for this in our own telephone bills. You see that little line at the bottom of the bill there? That goes towards the Obama phone. That goes towards discounted internet service, I think.
Absolutely right. If you see a line that says universal service fee or something like that, that is the phone, that is a tax that pays for this and other programs. That tax has gone up 60% in the last 7 years alone, and that's before the FCC expanded this program. There's no telling how high that tax is going to go in the future.
How can we do anything about this?
Well, part of it is going to depend on a future FCC that is committed to fiscal responsibility and restraint. Part of it is Congress exercising oversight. Just yesterday, for example, the House Energy and Commerce Committee passed legislation to impose a budget. A remarkable step that is. But ultimately, it's going to be the American people weighing in with their elected officials and with agency officials like me to let them know, look, we want there to be accountability in this program.
What do you say to the argument that poor people need a phone and they need an internet connection if they're going to get out there in society and look for a job? They need this, and there's nothing wrong with a little subsidy. What do you say to that argument?
I'll be the first to say that it's critical, increasingly critical in the modern digital economy for all people, especially low-income Americans, rural Americans, and others, to have internet access. But the question is, how do we have a fiscally responsible program that gets us to that goal? And this program we have on the table is not that. We are wasting millions upon millions of dollars on people who, frankly, don't need the help in a lot of cases. And that kind of waste, fraud, and abuse has to end if there's going to be bipartisan political support for this program in the future.
Ajit Pai, direct and to the point, and we just love that. Thank you.
Wow, there's a mouthful in a very few minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's your government. And remember, this was over a year ago. Okay, this is over a year ago, and they were told, no, don't bring it, don't say nothing about it. We're aware of it. We've got this down. We know what's happening. That's millions of your tax dollars that are being defrauded. But yet we're supposed to trust this government.
Well, they
and it's on the program. It's supposed to help people, the poor and indigent, the people that need this the most. Oh yes, and they're defrauding the government by doing it.
Yeah, well, there were a couple of things that just really stuck out to me. One, the fact that, like you said, this was over a year ago that this interview took place, and Ajit really hit it on the head. He really told us in just a couple of words what the end game of the government is. Internet access and phones, government control of the internet, and the issuing of phones. Now, let's just take that for just a second here. The idea being is that the government will seize control of the internet, which they did through the FCC. The legislation or the ruling. It's not really a legislation per se because Congress didn't vote on it, did they? The FCC just issued these rules and said, this is what we're going to do. I don't believe
Congress could go back in there just like they did the other day with their legislation and pass laws. But again, as we said about the one they just did the other day with the regulation of fees and stuff on the internet, you're going to have to get the Senate to pass it. So the House did it, but the other part of the Congress, the Senate, hasn't done a darn thing with it because they're more worried about their damn jobs and get reelected.
Right. Well, I mean, the plurality of this, what is this? I guess how am I putting this? The relationship of this is simply this: the FCC.
Here's what it's another entity that combines the three branches of government all in one. Legislative, judicial, and executive. It does it all in one. So if you have a problem, you're going to get fined by the FCC. You're going to get tried by the FCC, and who's going to put judgment over you is the FCC.
Right.
And you must stop all that. That's what this needs to come to an end.
Right. And this is the major point here I wanted to make here on this, is that what we had here, this is akin to. This is the same as Barack Obama issuing an executive order because he can't get Congress to do something.
Absolutely.
My point is the FCC initiated this. They seized control of the internet without congressional approval. That's my point. That's the first point. This didn't go through Congress in terms of this is the bill that we want, this is the legislation that we want, let's debate it on the floor, let's have a vote in the House, and then let's send it up to the Senate and all this. The FCC took it upon themselves, directed by the White House. This is like executive order by proxy almost. It's like Obama coming down and saying, we need to do this. We need to seize the internet because there are too many poor people that can't watch the Beyonce shaking her ass out there on a video, and they can't do it with because the broadband speed is not quick enough, and they can't afford to buy the 35 meg and above in order to be able to do that. So we as the government, we have to make sure that everybody's equal. Everybody gets an equal opportunity to see how fast Beyonce can shake her butt. And and I use that because that's who they're pandering to. They're pandering to the black community. That may sound racist, but that's what it is. And there's no doubt about it, because Barack Obama, he rules through social media. He is the guy that has figured out how to use social media to get elected. He uses it to promote whatever it is he wants to do. His weekly messages out there on YouTube and Livestream and Ustream and all these other things, that's the end game. This is the propaganda, the piece of propaganda equipment that the government is using to promote and advance and continue to propagandize to their people, to their sheeple, however you want to put it. So my point is that that's the end game, the seizing of the internet. And by the way, seizing of the internet at taxpayer expense. The taxpayers will subsidize the government seizing control of the internet and will regulate you, the taxpayer, what you get for what you pay for, and what other people get what you pay for, because they're not paying for it. And then, so I want to expound on this. This is much deeper than I thought it was going to be. We got to go to a break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish, because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed-rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
We're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, and I am your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos. And I want to take a moment here. I'm going to take a moment here, and I'm going to address something that's going. We got chat going on in your chat room about Prince. I'm going to address something here because I continually see this out there, and whenever something like this happens. And I am probably one of the biggest screamers about this in some regard. Somebody like Prince passes away, they come, whatever it is. Even somebody like Merle Haggard. Like I said, Merle Haggard passed away a few weeks ago. And those who love and appreciate country music like I do, Merle Haggard was one of the best. He was one of the founders, one of the pillars of great American country music. And I agree that there are those who we're going to see vigils all over the country, maybe around the world. We'll see the teddy bears and the candles and the flowers, and maybe somebody will go down to the Hollywood Walk of Fame out here in California, and they'll all weep and talk about, what a great person and what Prince did for the world and this, that. And it'll be akin to what they did when Michael Jackson passed away. And now I am just simply admiring the man for what he was able to accomplish with the talent that he'd been given. Whether that talent was for the glory of God, that's irrelevant to me at this point. Prince will stand in front of God like the rest of us, and he'll receive judgment by God's terms and conditions. I'm not talking about whether Prince was a good person, whether he was a moral person, whether he believed in God or not. I'm just talking simply the pure aspect of his ability to compose, produce, and disseminate music that I found pleasurable. And so the idea that every time we say something about somebody like this, that we're opening up portals for Satan to come in and screw around with us, I'm sorry, guys, I can't buy that. You give Satan too much authority in your life when all you do is worry about what he's going to do to you, how he is going to affect your life. Those of you who tell me that you're strong Christians, let's put things in context here. Let's not get all wacko about this. Let's understand that you can appreciate somebody's musical talent or their acting ability or whatever without condoning the lifestyle of the person. Okay, it's like I had this conversation when Paul Walker died, the guy on Fast and Furious. I had people in my church that I ended up in big arguments with because somebody posted out there one day, heaven gained another angel today. And I just said, how do you know that?
That's exactly what I said. How do you know that?
How do you know that? The guy was a professing Mormon. How do you reconcile? I'll tell you how you did that. How you come to that conclusion is that you were impressed with the guy. You liked him. You thought he was good looking. You thought he was a good actor.
So you're hopeful towards that.
Yeah, and so your emotions were affected by him, and therefore you enjoyed what he did and what that put into your life. But to go beyond that and say, okay, well, I have determined that this person is going to be up there in heaven somewhere driving a GTO. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that with Prince either. I don't know what the guy's religious beliefs were. I don't know. I never dwelled into his personality that way.
Comment, were we?
Huh?
We weren't making that comment, were we?
No, I wasn't talking about that. I don't know what he was into. I don't know what he believed. I don't know if he had a last-minute moment with God when, if he, I don't know. I don't go into that realm because I don't know. See, that's the thing about conspiracies, and is that if you don't really know, then, it's one thing to entertain the idea. And we do that on the show. We've talked about conspiracies, and we've talked about it in the sense of, okay, well, it could be possible that this is happening. But until somebody lays it out to me empirically with evidence that beyond a shadow of a doubt, I know it's not happening, I'm not going to go out there and start talking about it to the degree, this is what's coming down the pipe, because I don't know. I know that there is a new world order out there. I agree with that. Now, how it's working and how effective the different elements that we talk about on this show and other shows, I don't know. So I'm not going to dance with that. I'm not going to allow that to affect my overall view as to what could be happening versus what is happening. I try to keep it as factual as I can. I enjoyed Prince's music. It never made me want to become a Satan worshiper. It never made me want to go out and rape women. It never made me want to get stoned or anything else. I just appreciated that the guy knew how to write music. As a musician, as somebody who studied music, I admired his ability to do what he did. It's that simple. And I don't get all hung up on all the other stuff. I mean, I know that may offend some people out there, but that's just the way I am. I'm not into this, okay, let's light another torch for Satan. I just don't. I don't give Satan that much authority in my life. I just don't. It's not. It's irrelevant. Satan has been put under my feet. I don't need to give him any more authority than he already has, which is absolutely none. The only authority Satan gets is the authority that we give him. And so I'm just
it's already shown. It's already there. It's proven. He's a defeated one.
Yeah, well, I know that people get upset about this stuff, and rightfully so. I'm not saying don't believe what you believe. I'm just saying understand that not everything in the world is for the purpose of destroying everything else. Yeah, there's a lot of evil in the world. I would never deny that. We wouldn't be on the air if I thought everything was perfect.
This gave me that Waterboy moment. Foosballs for the devil. Ooh. Come on.
Yeah, so
not everything revolves around that.
No. I mean, we
yes,
acknowledge
it revolves around.
You acknowledge he's there. You acknowledge he's there. You acknowledge that if you give him access, then he will take advantage of it.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying, I can listen to a Prince song, and I can guarantee you, thoughts in my head about what me and Satan are going to get together and do is not what's going on in my mind. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm swaying back and forth, going, "Man, that's a nice beat. That's a nice beat." I mean, I'm going to expound on this for a couple more minutes. Just fill up this segment with this because I think it's really important. This is one of the reasons I believe we have some of the division we have in this country, because we cannot put ourselves in the other person's shoes and at least see what they're seeing. Don't have to agree with it, but you have to be able to at least see what they're seeing and what they're basing their perceptions on. There is a lot of evil in the world. There is a lot of deception in the world. People are burned every single day. Our government burns us every single day. We are finding out the hard way what happens when you do not watch what the people you elect do. That's what's going on in the world right now. The darkness has been exposed, and we now know that the people that we have entrusted with our security are not using that trust to our advantage, but only to their own.
It's just not here either. Look at Europe. I'm sure there's plenty of Germans right now not really happy with Angela Merkel allowing millions of refugees to just wander into their country and then rape and pillage it.
Right, yeah, and I'm sure the people over in Brussels right now, over in Brussels, Belgium.
Yeah,
they're very upset. People in France are upset. People, it's not, it's not exclusive here to the United States. But my point is that if we start just saying, okay, well, this is what's happening, Satan's overrunning the world, well, then we might as well just hang it up. If we've given him that much authority to say, okay, all we're doing now is we're just witnessing the end. Let's just roll up in a ball and wait for it to happen. That's not what we're supposed to be doing as Christians. We're supposed to be fighting it. Even if we end up losing, that's not the point. The point is fighting it fighting the good fight of faith, as Paul talks about in the Bible. It's not whether you win or lose the battle. It's that when your time comes to stand before your Creator, you're seen as fighting the battle. And that's how I kind of look at things. So I don't look at some of these things that go on out there in the public sphere and go, oh my God, you know what? Gee, I wonder what's going on with Prince right now. I mean, he's dead. I mean, is he in heaven? Is he in hell? I don't really care. I just happen to like his music. And I admired his talent. So please don't take it beyond what it really is, okay? I understand there's a lot of frustration out there. There's a lot of anger. I share it with you adamantly. I wouldn't be on the air if I wasn't angry, okay? There's other things I could be doing right now than sitting here trying to expose the very evil that we're talking about. I'm just saying, let's not give the devil more authority than he has. Let's not give him so much ground that everything we do is based on what he's doing. Why don't we spend a little bit more time on what we should be doing? And let's get through this, guys. Let's work through this, okay? Anyway, I don't want to offend anybody, but I have to speak the truth, and I have to speak it as I see it, okay? We got to go to a break. When we come back, we'll get back into this thing with Ajit Pai. There's more here than I ever thought of. I mean, this may take up the rest of this hour to get through what I wanted to say here, and I'm sure Joe's got some things he wants to share too. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. We're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. And having said that, I'm not going to continue on what I was talking about before the break here. I want to get back to this situation here with Ajit Pai and what was taking place in this interview that was over a year ago.
Yeah, I think it was over a year ago that they started. They had to. I'm looking at some of the timeline on this, and they had to do this. They were doing this investigation for quite a while, but they were going to announce it 1 April. That was just the beginning of this month, and but they were told, as Ajit was saying in the audio clip that we played, they were instructed not to say anything until the 1st of April because coincidentally, on the 31st of March, Congress was voting to expand the program. Remember, we were saying that it's up to Congress to take care of this. Well, Congress was expanding the program, giving out the carrots. All right, and this was we're not talking. It's to the point now. It's like, wow, this is just chump change. It's $51 million, people. And a California-based phone company that was abusing this Lifeline program. It was called Total Call Mobile was the provider that is under investigation for the $51 million of fraud against the taxpayers of this nation.
Wow. Yeah. Well, now let's just let's remind everybody here. This I don't know what's the word. This expansion that the FCC took place last year, and this was not an actual bill. This was not voted on by Congress, right? I want to get that. I got to clear that up in my head.
What the FCC did last year when they took control of the internet, that was nothing. Congress had nothing to do with it.
Right. Like I said, that was executive order by proxy. They were handed down.
Yeah. Because Congress said you couldn't do whatever Obama wanted to do, so he said, "Well, screw it. I'll just have the FCC do it."
Right, because I remember Tom Wheeler, the guy that heads the FCC, mentioning that this came down as a directive from the White House, and it was now. I just kind of want to tie some things together here. What was taking place prior to this was the free Obama phones. Remember when Obama got elected, and there was a viral video out there, some lady on YouTube talking about how the government and us whiteys and we were going to pay for her. We were going to pay her mortgage, and we were going to pay for her phone. Now, the thing is here that the government, I don't know if it was because of the phone fraud that was kept hidden, or that it was all encompassing when Obama first went after it, when he first decided we're going to nationalize the internet, which is actually what they're trying to do.
Well, this was kept hidden until after I've heard Congress would vote to expand the program. All right. After so the day after they vote to expand the program, then this fraud case comes to light, and they announce it and say, "Hey, yeah, we got this thing going on, so we're checking into it." Ha ha. It's like, really? Do you now? If this would have came out like instead of the 31st of March, if it would have came out on the 21st of March, where they had a little bit of time to look into it, do you think maybe the vote might have been different to expand the program?
Okay, and the program we're talking about was the Obama phone program, right?
Yes, this Lifeline program that gives phones to low-income, rural people. Yeah, it's the same. Like Ajit Pai was saying in the thing, you're paying for it when that universal access fee.
Okay,
and that was started by Al Gore, by the way.
Okay, now that what I want to clarify here is Congress did not vote to expand the overtake of the internet by the FCC. That was done through directive. That was done through. Okay,
that's absolutely directive.
Okay.
Congress did not do that.
Okay, and the directive, the FCC seize and control the internet took place after Congress approved the Obama phone, the expansions of the Obama phone program.
Phones, that's been going on since the last election.
Right. Okay.
And that's been going on for a long time now.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
If you could, and I remember watching videos down, I believe it's out of Atlanta, and you had people standing on the corner. So your minister used up on the one Obama phone, you could get another Obama phone like that. And I mean, we're talking state of the art, up to date.
Right.
Smartphones, and you're getting all the minutes and everything else you need, blah blah blah, until such time as you need another one. And you're only supposed to be able to qualify for one phone. Okay, mind you.
Yeah. Now I have seen this happen. We go down there's a food bank down here at the end of our street here. At the end of every month, the elderly and people that are economically stressed can go down to the Orange County Food Bank down here, and they have these trucks. And what you do is you go in and you hand them a record of your bank statement, and if you have X number of dollars, below X number of dollars, you qualify for this program. We go down there to work, and next to the tables where they have the people, you got to kind of check in, and they got to make sure that you're legitimate, that you qualify for they give them like 2 boxes of food. They got some dried milk in it and bread. Things that stores. The shelf life has gone out, and the stuff is still good. It's still consumable, but because of rules and laws, after a certain shelf life, you have to take stuff off the shelf. So they donate it to these food banks, and then they hand it out. And so we go down there once a month to see what's going on, and there's right next to it is a table for these free phones, and they're always signing up these people for the free phones. And they have them all right there. They activate them right there. They sign them up. They give them the phone. They activate it, the whole 9 yards. And Lourdes once said to me, boy, maybe we should get that. I said, don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. That would be one of the most hypocritical things we could do, is to see if we could soak taxpayers for our phone when, in fact, we can afford our phone. And those phones don't give me what I want anyway. But my wife, she just needs something to talk on. She doesn't do any of the other fancy stuff, that kind of stuff. So, but the whole idea here, what we're talking about here, let's just kind of put it in chronological order.
Hey, something else to remember. Now, when the Congress voted to expand the program, it included the subsidized high-speed internet for these people too. Yeah.
Well, that's where I was going with this. Let's put this in chronological order. The Obama phones come into existence. We're going to help the poor so that they all have phones. Along with that was iPads. Nobody talks about the iPads too much, but they were giving out iPads to the kids in school. Out here in California, it was a big deal. And right away, the kids learned how to hack on the iPads, and we're watching the Beyonce videos shaking her butt. Rather than using the iPads for what they were supposed to be used for, which was to be able to access the internet for study purposes, okay? Then we have the expansion of the program from the Congress. Then we have the seizure of the FCC, by the FCC, of the internet. And now what we're seeing is, what's coming to a gradual revelation, is the idea that the government wants to be able to control the FCC, again, for the purpose of giving away internet access to the low income, but also being able to control and manipulate the providers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're going to be able to say, no, you must give this bandwidth to these people. We know it's costing you money because you have to pay. There's costs incurred when you're doing this. I mean, you got infrastructure you got to deal with, cable and et cetera. I mean, and some of the equipment, especially if it's coming into the house, it just doesn't magically appear in your house. I don't know if people out there realize that or not. You might want to go out and actually see what's going on there. But you have a little box, something's bringing it into your home. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't come through the airwaves like radio does.
Yeah. Now let's take that and let's look at what would be the purpose of that. Well, let's look at the subpriming thing, the subprime loan scandal, when the government helped and bailed out the banks. In exchange for doing that, the government was given access to the information of people that held accounts on those banks. And I know that for a fact because my mother got hit on that. She her pharmacy, her copays on her pharmacy went sky high because they found out she had too much money in the bank. And so she had to start paying more for her prescriptions. How did that happen? She goes, how did this happen? Because the government now has your data. Now the government can go to the internet providers and say, we want the data of the people that you're providing service to. For what reason? So they can squeeze us. So maybe they can monitor what we're doing. Maybe we get back into the NSA thing where they're data mining on us. But the big thing is that they hear a show like the Conservative Syndicate out there, and they go to the internet provider and say, this guy's a domestic terrorist. Let's throttle the hell out of his internet connection so that his listeners can't catch him. Exactly. We've had that problem before. We've had the internet go crazy on us, and I know some of the other people out there that we're affiliated with have too. So there's two things going on here, or several things going on here. It's all about the government being able to eventually gather everything they need on us to be able to use it against us. We got to go to a break. We're at the top of the hour here. Boy, that went fast. We're at the top of the hour here. We got the Edwards Notebook. We'll pay some bills. We'll be back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Certain people do not believe in God, but they certainly want to act as if they are. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards on today's page from the Edwards Notebook. Whether it's progressive professors swearing to their students that there is no God or President Obama proclaiming the United States is not a Christian nation, they themselves and others act as if they have the sovereign authority of God to reduce the human population to a level they deem acceptable to their warped view. Individuals like Bill Gates and John C. Holdren, the lead science advisor to President Barack Hussein Obama, and many others highlighted in the Negro Project, a sterling book written by author Bruce Flory, in which he accurately chronicles the efforts of many who, in my opinion, wish to play God over we the people of America and others the world over, in their mad mission to depopulate the world of many humans via the United Nations Agenda 21. It includes, for now, voluntary cooperation of signatory states. One of the biggest efforts of Agenda 21 is to reorient all humans toward a more one-size-fits-all, rights-inhibiting series of restrictions under the guise of protecting the environment. Wake up, America. Remember, those who deny the existence of God are most likely to deny your unalienable rights. I'm Ron Edwards.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Good evening, America, and those listening around the world. It's time for the Conservative Syndicate with your host, John Matthews, self-ordained, politically incorrect, mad prophet of the airways. The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most knowledgeable activists and pundits today that together seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement with those seeking the truth regarding the similarities and differences between the religion of politics and the politics of religion.
We have put in place the toughest ethics laws and toughest transparency.
Hey, and we're back, and this is Hour 2 of the Conservative Syndicate, and I am your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, my co-host and partner in crime. And the people are asking me what happened to our snazzy intros, and I am guilty here. We had a couple of the files got corrupted, and I was trying to redo them, and it looks like I've deleted them. I can't find them. They're out there somewhere on my big hard drive where I store everything, but time being what it is, I don't have the time to go look for them. So I'm just kind of winging it here as we go along here. But that's okay. You know who we are.
If your partner was worth a damn, he'd get you those things back to you.
Well, we should. It's time to redo some of these things, anyways. We gotta. There's a lot of changing out there, and we want to try to keep up with the times as much as we can. But anyway, you know who we are. If you're listening to us for any length of time, you know what we do here. We educate, inform, and engage you, our listening audience, on the politics of religion and the religion of politics. And believe me, there's a lot of both in both. And when we were talking earlier about that, about the just the effect of so many things that are going on here, how the world has affected the church, and how little the church has affected the world.
Well, in recent days, okay, in recent decades, let's go that way.
Yeah, in recent days.
You know, I look at things. All these things are cyclical, and we could, we can go back. You know, we could take things back to the way they were. We can do that just because we want to just and allow these people to get to their little transgender bathroom crap and all the other BS that goes along with it. Doesn't mean we can't go back and make the use of common sense that we are born with. Right.
Yeah, let me expound on that. You just made a comment here, and I was actually kind of the direction I wanted to go today. Joe and I were talking before we were on the air. I don't know if we mentioned this before. No, we couldn't have been talking about it before the air because you came on, you signed on just before I did, and we were both running really late.
Way behind the power curve. I was just massively. I'm sitting here.
Yeah. Now the thing I wanted to drive the point we were making earlier in the show, actually towards the beginning of the show, was how a lot of people in America. This is the pattern. If we look at let's just step back for just a second here, and if we look at the environment and the atmosphere that's out there right now, a lot of it is anger and frustration, and a lot of it is because of a sense. Everybody feels a sense of betrayal, at least on our side. On the other side, the anger and the frustration is that the people that want everybody to take care of them or want everybody to condone what they do. Yeah. Because, quote unquote, it's not hurting anybody else, that kind of thing. You know, the liberal logic, I can do whatever I want to do because I'm not hurting anybody else, which is BS in and of itself. But the point being is that a lot of it comes from ignorance. On both sides. Anger and fear come from ignorance. And it might be rightfully so. You might be right in being angry or frustrated or feeling betrayed, but it's because you weren't aware of something that you're now aware of. And so that's what I mean by ignorance. I don't mean stupidity. I mean ignorance, not knowing what we don't know. Okay, that kind of thing. So we find out, all of a sudden, the lights go on and there's revelation, and we go, oh my goodness, what's going on here? How did this come to this? And the hardest part of all this is being able to recognize this came about because of our ignorance. We're ignoring. We weren't paying attention. We weren't being diligent. We weren't being responsible. We weren't watching the people that we are electing to office, and this is what's happened. The left has filled a vacuum that was left by an ignorant electorate that has not been paying attention. That said, what happens is the response is out of anger and out of frustration, and so what has happened is it's brought about this massive division in the country where you've got people on one side of the fence shouting at the other people on the other side and vice versa. And with all the noise out there, nobody's listening to anybody. Everybody's just trying to defend their anger and frustration. And so we are in this vicious cycle of just wanting to destroy each other when we're not really the enemy. What's happened is the people that are manipulating us are standing in the background waiting for us to do everything to each other, and then they'll just pick up the pieces and they'll reconstruct it into whatever it is they have decided they want to do. And we can't give that to them. We can't give them that ground. That's what I'm saying. But we have to come from this point of reason. Now, I'm saying all that because it comes back to the central point here that a lot of times, until these things hit home, until they hit your wallet, until they hit your family, until you witness them firsthand, a lot of the things that you hear on shows like this just sounds like the anger that I'm just talking about. Oh, you're just a bunch of angry white men. You're just a bunch of haters. You're a bunch of homophobes. You're a right-wing extremist. All this other stuff until it hits home. And one of the ways it's hit home down south, and I'm using my kids because they have been bombarding me here lately, last couple of days, about Target's decision to make the dressing areas and the bathrooms transgender. And my daughter especially has 3 daughters, all teens, one getting ready to graduate this year from high school, one is a year away from graduating, another one just came into high school. And she's worried about her daughters going into Target and having to share the bathroom with some transgender pervert.
Yeah.
And so my response is, oh, you're finally catching on to what I've been talking about. You thought I was just ranting. You thought I was just this old fart, dad, grandpa, who likes to rant and rave about politics. It's not about politics. It's about morality. It's about where the country is going. So now there's this they're all upset. What do we do? How do we stop this? And so I've been talking to them and saying, this is what you need to do. You need to organize. You need to get together, and you need to go after Target. You need to put together a petition. You send somebody down. I've done it. I know how it works. You get together, you organize, and you go after these people. You walk in and say, look, if you're so worried about pandering to this small minority of immoral perverts, you're going to lose a large majority of God-fearing people. We're not going to come in your store anymore. You use the economic thing to your advantage because they're using it to their advantage. They're coming in, we're not going to start our businesses in North Carolina. Or we're not going to build a business here, Google and all these other companies. We're not going to bring our business into your state because you're a hater. You hate transgenders. I say, hey, more power to you. Go build your transgender bathrooms in someplace else. I don't care. But you've got to use the same leverage. You've got to fight fire with fire. They're just trying to scare you. All you have to do is turn around and say, no, let me scare you. We'll drive your business out of this state by not coming into it if you don't straighten up and adhere to the values that make our community what it is, a God-fearing community. That's how you win the battle. So anyway, hey, it's our short segment. We got to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the rants of angry white men. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Okay, hey, we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos. And back to this conversation that we were having earlier. This idea of the narrative being basically redefined and redirected, and the left has done a very, very good job at doing this over the last, actually the last 30, 40 years, but especially in the last 7.5, where
John,
it has just advanced hand over fist.
John.
Yeah.
Can I say something about what you were talking about before we went to the break? You were talking about your daughter, and it's finally hit home, the Target thing, the transgender bathroom and everything.
Sure.
Now, you were talking about, get after Target and write them letters and blah, blah, blah. I think there's a much simpler a way of doing this, and that's if the men out there would stand up and go, no, you're not going into the bathroom with my wife, girlfriend, and her daughter. I'm not going to allow you to do that. You can wait. You're not going to inconvenience them. Men need to start standing up for their women's right. For their women, and put a stop to this. Put their foot down. The wussification of American man needs to come to a screeching halt. It's about damn time men start standing up for what is right. Right. Exactly. And it's. I'm going to let them go into the bathroom with my wife or daughter or my granddaughters or anything else. You're going to wait. And if you go, give me some bull crap about, I self-identify myself today as a woman. Well, I'm going to kick you in the nuts. And you can, you can self-identify for about a minute and a half while you roll around in pain. Right. You are what you are. Yeah. Well, and what was that thing we were talking about earlier about, who was it that said, what is more difficult, getting kicked in the gonads or giving birth? That's that guy. That was that guy that's in your head. Bob Cardoza sent us that thing. I remember that. Yeah, it sticks with me because I think it is such a good analogy, just in line with what you're saying here. The idea is no man asks to get kicked in the gonads more than once. I mean, no man asks for it. I mean, you don't ask for it again. You've never asked for it. I've never asked for it. Please do that again, please. I'm not ops checking the cup or anything either. Okay, it works fine. No, that still hurts. So, no man ever asked for that. Ever. Well, the situation, what I was trying to explain to my kids, because both my son and daughter are just right now, I'm looking at a whole new thread here that's been going on all day on their Facebook, and they're being handed the narrative. The narrative is that the Supreme Court ruled that being transgender, that you have to protect the rights of the transgender. Okay, now let's put this in context. First of all, the Supreme Court never ruled on transgender bathrooms. They never ruled on transgender dressing rooms. They never ruled on transgender showers in schools. What they ruled on was a lawsuit that was filed, not a law, a lawsuit. And what they did was they gave an opinion on a lawsuit. They didn't rule on anything because the Supreme Court can only rule on law. There is no law involved in this lawsuit.
It was somebody suing because they felt they were being discriminated against because they were homosexual. And what the court gave an opinion on was the fact that based on the Constitution, there's nothing in the Constitution that signifies that marriage is between a man and a woman. That was the ruling or the opinion of the Supreme Court. It had no bearing on law at all because there was no law being contested. It was a lawsuit that somebody filed because they felt they were being discriminated against, and it went up through the courts, ended up in the Supreme Court. This is one of the fallacies with our system, is that we're allowing the Supreme Court to hear cases that constitutionally they shouldn't even be looking at.
Absolutely.
Because there is no law involved in this.
So the Supreme Court would have no stand-in to be able to do this.
Right. They can issue all the opinions they want, but they cannot rule on something unless it's tied to law. And so the idea that the Supreme Court has basically legalized homosexuality, and I guess through extension, that what they mean is that now the transgenders have the right to occupy whatever bathroom they want to, or whatever shower facility they want to, or wherever they want to go, they should be able to go. There is nothing in the opinion of the Supreme Court that supports that. What the Supreme Court, John Roberts, in his dissent, one of the few times he got it right, he said that what we've done is we're interfering with the sovereignty of the states to determine by law what they want to allow. And so if somebody like Target comes out and says, this is what we want to do because we agree with the Supreme Court opinion that being a transgender, you have the right to decide what sex you are on any given day.
Oh, you mean just as North Carolina and Mississippi have seen fit to do so now? Oh, my goodness. Oh.
Yeah, so, and that you've hit the nail on the head there, Joe. That's the point I'm making. The state of North Carolina, 26 other states, by the way, have passed similar laws about the transgender issues. Out here in California, we've had to go the other way. They have passed laws to allow transgenders to do what they want to do. This ruling in Arkansas, this was a decision made by Target to pander to the homosexuals because they don't want to be shook down by them. They don't want to be shook down by the activists, the people like like how Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton go into a town and they shake a corporation down. We're gonna claim that you discriminate, that you're racist, that you're bigoted if you don't contribute to our organizations, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the homosexuality, let's get it down to the bare wire here. The homosexual agenda, and I'm not talking about homosexuals. I'm talking about the homosexual agenda. I would guess that the vast majority of the 3 million plus known homosexuals in America today, and I think the number is somewhere around 3 million. I don't know how they determine that, but maybe through the census, I don't know. But the point being, I would gamble. I would say this. I would bet that the majority of homosexuals in this country today don't like getting the attention that the homosexual agenda has brought upon them. What you have is a segment of the homosexual community that feel the need to justify and rationalize what they do because inherently they know it's wrong. And the only way you can do that is to silence anybody that would tell you it's wrong. And so we get into this judgmentalism. If I tell a homosexual what you're doing is wrong, then that is translated into meaning I hate you because you're a homosexual.
Yeah. It's because you don't agree with it, you hate them. It's not that. Right. That's just crazy talk again.
Yeah, and I can say from my own experience. See, I'm talking firsthand here. I know exactly what I'm talking about. My oldest stepson is a homosexual. Now, he is different from other homosexuals in the sense that he's celibate. He does not engage in sexual activity. But if you ask him what he is, he will tell you that he is gay because that is how he identifies himself. Do I hate my stepson because of that? No. He knows exactly where I stand. I have told him what you're doing in the eyes of God is not right. It's not right. It would be no more right than if I was cheating on your mother, because adultery in the eyes of God is not right. It's not the sin. It is that it is a sin. See, sin is not identified by God in terms of whether it's good or not, whether it's acceptable or not. There is no major and minor sin in the eyes of God. Sin is sin. You go against my conditions, my terms, my order. You go against my natural order. You are rebelling against me. That is sin. And it requires no discussion, no debate, no interpretation. God says it's an abomination, it's an abomination. If God says you commit adultery, you commit adultery. If he says looking at another woman, what does Jesus say? You look at another woman, you've already committed adultery if you lust. That's a sin. And it's no less or no more a sin than engaging in homosexual behavior. So when I tell my stepson that, he understands that. I love this kid. He's probably the best kid out of all of them in terms of how the respect he shows for his parents and what he does for his family, where he places his value on his family above everything else. He's a hard worker. He doesn't commit. He doesn't get into trouble. He does what he does. But it's just that he has this one aspect of his personality that in the eyes of God, not in my eyes, in the eyes of God, is wrong. And I would never tell him it's right just because I love him so much.
And I'd venture to say that he is not very keen and happy about all this attention being placed upon people that identify just like him.
No, he's not. They would rather you just leave him alone. This is who I am. And they don't feel the need. I've met all of his friends. He's got a whole community of them back in the Philippines. I met a bunch of them when I went back there. I fell in love with all of them. They're fantastic people. But that doesn't take away from the fact that they're doing something that in the eyes of God is not correct. And I sat down at a table with about 6 or 7 of them one night for 3 or 4 hours, and we had this discussion. And they all said basically the same thing. I don't care what other people think about me, and it's not important for me to make you accept who I am. This is who I think I am. Okay, fine, I can accept that. I can accept that you think you're that way. I can't accept that it's right, because then I would be violating my understanding of what God says about it, and therefore if I was to pander to you, I would be violating my own rights. See, this is the issue. Where are the rights of the people that say this isn't right? Where are the rights of my daughters and my granddaughters to have to go into a bathroom and worry about somebody of the opposite sex coming in there dressed up like them? You know, where
dressed up like them? They don't even have to, John, that's the whole point. They don't have to come in dressed up as anything, just to walk in there because they want to. That's the problem. And knowing that, no, you're not equipped to be in this part of the building. That's not the way you're supposed to be doing. It's common sense, for crying out loud. But you know, I'm glad that you're able to get across to I hope you can get across to people. It's not the sinner; it's the sin.
Yeah, right. It's exactly.
I mean, it is that simple. It's not. This is not complicated.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's really not.
And the narrative has been made complicated. It's to confuse you into thinking that, you know, maybe I'm not thinking the right way. Maybe, and through the constant battering of the narrative, the constant pressuring, the constant testing out there that the community, the activist community, that small segment of the homosexual community, that it's imperative to them that you not only tolerate what they do, but that you accept it.
Accept it. Yeah. Well, you're supposed to accept it because we say so. No, you don't have to accept it. They don't accept your way. Why do you shouldn't have to accept their way?
Right. Well, you have to accept it because I feel bad if you don't. Okay, that's the driving force behind this thing. This isn't about anything other than the fact that as a human being, as a creation of God, you inherently know what you're doing is against the natural order that God designed. You know that. Don't tell me you don't know it. Now, you may have justified it and rationalized it to some place where that has been pushed to the back of your mind, and at the forefront of your mind is all the emotional distress that you experience by trying to maintain that your lifestyle is acceptable. And so, therefore, what you have to do is you have to silence me. You have to put me in a place where I don't want to say anything for fear of retribution, in this case through the legal system.
Yeah, by your government.
Right. And so, but that doesn't make any, it's still, all that said, doesn't make it any more right or wrong.
It's still the same as it was before the government was involved.
Right, because in the end, God is the determiner. He is the great determiner. He is the one that's going to be able to tell you, I'm sorry, all that rationalization and all that activism and all that stuff, guess what? In my book, it's still wrong. And he'll say that to the adulterer. He'll say that to the thief. He'll say that to the liar. He'll say that to the child molester. He'll say it to the animal molester, because we got that now.
Oh, yeah, geez.
Okay. I'm waiting for the woman that thinks she's a cat to stand before God and explain how that happened. Okay. So, anyway, we're at the bottom of the hour here. It's time for Moments of Madness. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate on Moments of Madness. Donald Trump's current claims after his loss in the Colorado caucus that the establishment has rigged the primary against him is nothing more than political theater to keep his sheep enraged, the media entranced, and his opposition neutralized. Trump and his campaign people knew the rules, or should have known them. These rules Colorado has employed to pick their nominee have been around since 1912, so the idea they were designed to keep him from obtaining the required 1,237 delegates is as absurd as his candidacy itself. The fact there are those in Colorado now claiming disenfranchisement only exemplifies the Gruber theorem. The stupidity of the American voter is in full effect. That said, what does bear noting, what continually upsets the GOP political establishment is not Trump's audacious personality, his confrontational demeanor, or his lack of political understanding of policy outside the concept of deal-making. They have shown a propensity for working around ineptness for at least 5 decades now. What upsets the establishment is the fact Trump is an establishment type who has decided to double-cross his, up to this point, pretty much out-of-sight co-conspirators. The fervor that now runs as rampant through the GOP establishment as a streaker at the Super Bowl reminds me of the second adaptation of the movie The Manchurian Candidate, released in 2004, starring Liev Schreiber as former Sergeant and now Congressman Raymond Shaw, Denzel Washington as Major Bennett Marco, Shaw's former commanding officer, and Meryl Streep as Congressman Shaw's mother, Senator Eleanor Iselin. The 2004 film updated the conflict and brainwashing to the Persian Gulf War in 1991, emphasized the science fiction aspects of the story by setting the action in a dystopian near future, coincidentally implied to be 2008, had a U.S. corporation called Manchurian Global as a perpetrator of the brainwashing and conspiracy instead of foreign communist groups, and dropped the Johnny Insulin character in favor of making both Shaw and his mother elected politicians. What I am reminded of when analyzing the current establishment reaction to Trump, and even Cruz to some degree, is an almost eerie portrayal of Shaw's mother, Eleanor, as an establishment type, willing to sacrifice her own son as a means to an end in the plot to have her own son become president by placing him on a ticket as VP, only to have the newly elected president assassinated on the night he wins the election, thus placing him in the White House, complete with a brain implant that causes him to do whatever his programmers want. I'm not saying Trump is a Manchurian candidate by any stretch. If he is, somebody certainly crossed their wires. I do, however, contend Trump is actually an establishment type that has decided to double-cross those with whom he once conspired, in this case the GOP establishment. In much the same manner, Congressman Shaw programmed his own assassination in lieu of the president-elect to put to an end the conspiracy to take over the government via a coup when he discovers he's being played as a pawn. It remains to be seen if Trump actually makes it all the way to the White House. I can't help but wonder if he does, who among the elites will be the one called to duty to take him out? Who knows? But then again, with all this going on, both sides of this contest, we might discover Uncle Bernie is really the Manchurian candidate. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness. You can catch all our archives at the theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. Okay, hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, and I am beaming with pride right now. I got to be honest with you. I am beaming with pride. I've been watching all during the show here, during the breaks, and I've been going out there listening and watching this thread that's going on with my kids out there in Arkansas, and of course they've got the talking heads out there now. Trying to explain to them that we are the ones that really don't understand the homosexual issue. We don't understand how the Supreme Court has ruled on this. And, of course, we don't really appreciate the politics of it. Okay.
Really?
I mean, there's 3 oxymoronic statements right in a row from and that's how liberals think. They're like pseudo-intellectuals. They throw things at you, and I don't think they really have a coherent understanding of the English language because liberal speak has so perverted what the English language means. For instance, let me give you a quick instance, and we'll get back into this conversation here. The Supreme Court on Monday, we talked briefly about this, I think on Tuesday. I think we didn't do a show yesterday, but on Monday we were talking about the Supreme Court. And the arguments that were presented. Okay, so this came out of an article on Think Progress, one of the most liberal rags out there. It's a website. I love liberal websites because they're so lost in their own intelligence. They're legends in their own mind, and so they talk with this liberal doublespeak. And I imagine to another liberal they sound really intelligent. To me, they just sound like bleeping idiots. But here's the thing. Let's see. Oh, no, wait, that was the wrong article there. I'm looking. Let me write down here. Okay, here it is. This is from Elizabeth Slattery. I'm sorry. And she writes that's not the right one either. Let me go down one more here. Obama administration. Here we go. Terrence Jeffrey. I believe I got this off of the Daily Caller. Terrence Jeffrey a couple days ago. And he highlights the argument, a segment of the argument that the Solicitor General, Donald Verrilli, representing the government, put before the Supreme Court. And I'm going to just read you this clip here real quick, the exchange that took place. And this will, I think, best illustrate what I'm talking about when we talk about how liberals talk, the pseudo-intellectual deconstructed, redefined meaning of words, okay, that mean different things, okay?
Yeah, double speak, yeah.
Okay? Here it is. Obama administration tells Supreme Court lawfully doesn't mean legally. Lawfully does not mean legally. Welcome to what Solicitor General Donald Verrilli told the Supreme Court on Monday is the immigration word. Or more accurately, welcome to the new world President Barack Obama, through his solicitor, is asking the Supreme Court to join in him declaring, it is a world that contradicts the law of non-contradiction. It is a place where something can be and not be at the same time. It is a place of illogic and lawlessness. The Supreme Court heard oral arguments Monday on the U.S. versus Texas. The case pits 26 states against the Obama administration on the question of whether the executive branch, the president, through a bureaucratic subordinate, in this case Homeland Security, can unilaterally declare that more than 4 million foreign nationals who are illegally in the United States may stay here, work here, and acquire eligibility for Social Security, disability, and Medicare. The argument by Obama is since he has deferred their deportation, they are by law allowed to now access government programs because he has declared them a protected species. Okay, why they decide who and when to deport or if to deport, that kind of thing. All right, now the state suing the administration. Verrilli told the court the states are fundamentally wrong to claim the guidance confers on aliens whose presence Congress has deemed unlawful the right to remain lawfully in the United States. Aliens covered by the guidance, Verrilli says, like all aliens afforded deferred action, are violating.
No.
Okay,
Not like all. There's a mistake right there.
Yeah,
Not like all.
Yeah, let me get it out here. I'll let you comment, okay?
Sorry.
Aliens covered by the guidance, like all aliens afforded defer action, are violating the law by remaining in the United States, are subject to removal proceedings at the government's discretion and gain no defense to removal. What he's saying is if the government has deferred their deportation, they have no access to defense. And so they're at the will of the government. Okay, now it goes on here to say, I want to read this other clip here. Now I'll let you go, Joe, because I know you're geared up. He says, the Solicitor General then argued that the administration was not granting foreign nationals illegally in the United States lawful status. It was instead granting them lawful presence. Aliens with lawful status under the Immigration and Nationality Act are here lawfully. Their presence, therefore, is not a basis for removal. By contrast, mere lawful presence occurs when the executive openly tolerates an undocumented alien's continued presence in the United States for a fixed period, subject to revocation at the agency's discretion, notwithstanding that the alien lacks lawful status and is present in violation of law. So what he's saying is an undocumented alien who the administration grants lawful presence remains present in violation of the law. Okay, now it gets really funny here.
Oh, jeez.
Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Samuel Alito challenged the solicitor's language. On page 16, says Roberts, you quote the guidance that says the individuals covered are lawfully present in the United States the individuals covered are lawfully present in the United States. Aliens with deferred actions are present in violation of the law. He says less than a page later, you say aliens with deferred action are in present violation of law. How can they be both? How can they be in violation of the law but be lawfully present? Now, Robert says to him, that must have been a hard sentence to write. I mean, they're lawfully present, and yet they're present in violation of the law. Verrilli responded, I actually had no trouble writing it. And he says, the reason I had no problem writing it is because that phrase, lawful presence, has caused a terrible amount of confusion in this case. But the reality is it means something different to people in the immigration world. See, we now have a different term applied to a different demographic. In the immigration world, it means something else rather than what it means to the rest of the world. In the immigration world, it's not that you have a legal right to be in the United States. It's that your status has changed in any way. But what you have is you have a defensive. It says it doesn't mean any of those things. It never has. Blah, blah, blah. Roberts interrupts him. He says, lawfully present does not mean you're legally present in the United States? Right. Tolerated, Robert's interrupted again. I'm sorry, I get that right. Lawfully present does not mean you're legally present. And the solicitor says correct. So what we have here is doublespeak. You can be here illegally, but be here lawfully. Because the president, by deferring your deportation, has allowed you to be here lawfully in violation of the law. There it is. There's liberal doublespeak. So when we talk about all this stuff, put it in this context. This context is liberalism is words mean whatever they need to mean at any given time in any given circumstances, subject to change without notice.
To validate their point and rationale.
Right. Depending on the rationale and the agenda, and if the agenda is being driven by a humanitarian cause, which is the big argument of the government, then all these other words that apply legally to any person that is a citizen of the United States would not apply to somebody who was not a citizen of the United States.
Well, I like this phrase, immigration world. What world is that? Is that on this planet? Is that a whole other plane that we're not privy to? You know, some other earthly plane. We should be able to see these people because they have this extra glow or something. Immigration world, for crying out loud, the words mean what the words are.
Yeah. Now let me take it just a step further. We'll do our commercial. We'll come back, and I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Joe, because I know you can respond to this better than anybody I know. Okay. Justice Alito then takes on this guy, and he asked if it was true that those granted this unique status may lawfully work in the United States. They're lawfully present in the violation of law. And the solicitor said, that's right. Alito says, how is that possible to lawfully work in the United States without lawfully being in the United States? And the solicitor's answer was, millions are doing it. Okay? At this point, Alito says, Alito interrupts him. He says there's millions of people other than DAPA recipients about who this is true right now. And this gets to the point of why they're complaining reading the section 1324 is completely wrong. But Alito focused on the plain English. He said, I'm just talking about the English language. I just don't understand it. How can it be lawful to work here but not lawful to be here? That is a good question, but the only way the court itself can answer it remains to be seen. Okay? So it's the liberal doublespeak. You can be here in violation of law legally. That's the gist of this. And it only applies to illegal immigrants. It doesn't apply to anybody else. Of course, who else would it apply to?
Jeez.
So there's a lesson in doublespeak for you, and it ties back into what we were saying before. But we're going to take our quick break here now. I'll let Joe empty his lungs on this. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily. Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. With that, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I want to remind everybody you can check us out at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. You can pick up this show, any of our shows, find out anything you want to know about our panel, who we are, what we do. We're all involved in something. Some of us write, some of us are just out there in the trenches doing our thing, trying to bring this country back to the republic that we have been, we were established on. So, the conservativesyndicate.net. Visit us there sometime. Okay, back to my little rant here. I'm trying to put everything in a big picture for you guys out there to understand liberal speak is everywhere, and it's determining all these different narratives that are out there. The Target thing, the transgender bathrooms, homosexuality is what is it now? Trans species, the new one, where you think you're an animal. Gender queers, where you're of no sex at all. I don't know how that equates, what that looks like in a bedroom, but I don't know. Maybe it gives new meaning to the word "go screw yourself." I don't know. I don't know how that works, but
that's funny. That reminds me of that War Games movie.
Oh yeah.
Remember Broderick's in class. He goes, "Sex without reproduction without sex."
Yeah.
That was your wife. And he got sent to the principal's office for that. Who came up with that idea? Your wife.
That's funny. I've forgotten about that movie. That's one of those movies that are so kind of prophetic in some ways,
and in some ways it was. I mean, but it's a little wonder why the Supreme Court doesn't have their little sessions televised, because that would make for some great TV for people to eye open and go, "What did they just say?" He just said that again. He said you can be illegal but be here legally. No, not you, but your presence. When he says presence, John, I wonder if he just meant like his spirit. The spirit of the illegal can be here legally.
I'm sure this is what I see. This is the argument as I see it. Barack Obama, for a number of years, when he was asked about using executive authority to allow or to reform the immigration system outside of Congress, constantly stated he couldn't do it.
Yes, I'm not a king. I'm not a dictator.
Right. I'm a president. I'm not a king. I'm not a dictator.
Yes.
And Josh Earnest's response to this particular article that we just read, when he was questioned about it by the press, was that over the course of the years, the legal people have looked at it from different angles and decided that basically Obama can use what they call prosecutorial discretion.
Yeah, prosecutorial discretion.
That he can determine how he wants to, or if he wants to, enforce the law. Therefore, through executive order, what he has done is he has basically told illegals, you're here illegally, but by my decree, we are going to tolerate your presence. And while we tolerate your presence, while we decide what to do with you, we're going to allow you access to all the benefits of being a citizen.
So there's the rub. And when we were talking about this before, do the states have stand-in? Well, if the states have to issue driver's license and give these people benefits, this, that, and the other thing, as their presence here allows them to have, then the states do have stand-in, since it puts a burden on the state and the taxpayers and citizens of that state.
But exactly. But in the bigger picture, see, this is the liberal strategy on things. It's across the board. We will grant them temporary status as being here legally, unlawfully. And then when push comes to shove, and this falls before Congress to do something about this, then what is going to be the debate? The debate is they're already here, they're already getting benefits, We have figured out how to make them pay taxes. Therefore, all that's left is to grant them status. See, it's just the same thing with Obamacare. What's the big argument with Obamacare? Obamacare is dying. It's imploding. It's going to collapse. But what's the argument from the government? You'll never repeal it because it's already here. Too many people are already enrolled in it.
Absolutely. Every entitlement program known to man has been that way.
Right. So the idea is to create the demand, put something in there to fill it to such a point that you can say, hey, we're already there. We're already there. All we have to do now is just sign on the dotted line, and let's just declare these people here legally.
Oh, because it's expedient and the easy way out.
Right.
Oh, let's not do the hard thing. Let's not do what's absolutely right.
Right. And
because it's the easy way, the easy thing to do, and it's the political expedient thing to do. We'll just do that instead.
Yeah. So now let's
expense of 300 million other citizens.
Let's split it here with the fine hair just for a moment here. We have the idea here. What Obama's argument is that we have illegals here who are paying taxes. That's his argument. That's probably a small hunk of people. Not compared to the 11 million that are here. Maybe let's say you got a couple million that are doing that are actually paying taxes. They're working here, but they're using, according to the IRS, they're using illegal Social Security numbers.
Ah, yeah.
Okay, so the IRS is saying, we're now trying to figure out how to better process illegals paying income tax using stolen Social Security numbers. That's because they're here, I guess, lawfully present in violation of the law. Okay? It's the same concept. You're here illegally, you're using illegal Social Security numbers, but you're lawfully present. And so what we want to do is we want to change our system. We want to adjust our system that would allow us to collect tax revenue. Now, what's the argument when you go back into the debate floor? Well, look, the IRS has already figured out how to take the taxes from those paying it. How much harder is it just to issue Social Security numbers, and let's bring everybody into the pot so that we have more revenue? So what this is not only undocumented Democrats, but Democratic supporters who, through their taxes, will allow the government to do what? Expand government programs.
Yeah, which will allow them to have more Obama phones.
Right. They have more Obama phones, more iPhones, better control the internet. And what you're doing, the end game here is to replace American citizenry, American citizens, with illegal immigrants who we will then give legal status to overcome and compensate for the fact that American citizens don't all fall in line and cooperate with what the government wants to do.
Which would make it like this now. I can say, now, if you have your illegal presence here legally, then if you have your legal presence here illegally, like all the citizens.
What we're talking about here is the gradual implementation of Agenda 21, the replacement of the American society with those other than Americans, because we bring them into these third world banana republics because they're used to tyranny.
Oh, yeah.
You give them a little bit of stuff and they'll just, tell me what I can wear, tell me where I can live, tell me what I can vote, how to vote, tell me what I can do. And let me work for the state. Just make sure you take care of me. Give me my free phones, my free internet. Hey, I'm in Fat City, man. I'll use my food stamps to buy lobster, and I'll use my welfare money to buy Adidas and Corona every week, and then we'll just all party down, and I'll just go to work for the state. And since you work for the state, you don't have to be efficient. You don't have to be good at what you do. You just show up. I know. I worked for the state for a while. I know what they do. Nothing. You show up to work. You punch a clock, and then you wait for the clock to click 4 o'clock so you can leave. That's what government work does for the most part. I'm not saying everybody. I'm telling the part of government service I was in was pretty lackadaisical, okay? And it dealt with finances. There you go.
Oh, sure. Yeah, well,
Yeah, I worked for comptroller. I worked as an accounting supervisor and stuff, so I know what they do. Anyway, having said all that.
John, we're going to have to make our presence be here legally, but not on the air.
Yeah, we're going to remain here legally, but not right at the moment lawfully present, because it's time to close the show for the day. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, and we got good stuff. We're going to talk tomorrow about We have Bob Cardoso with us, and we're going to talk tomorrow about gold standard versus currency. That's one of the topics that we'll be talking about tomorrow. Which is better? Would it be good to go back to the gold standard, or should we remain on currency standard? Which, by the way, they're changing currency. We'll talk about that. The new pictures of people on currency. You'll love this. So we'll be back tomorrow. God bless you guys. We love you all. Thanks for your loyalty. Visit us at theconservativesyndicate.net. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all of our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's the conservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best and uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, signing off until next time, right here on the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.